Please report the annual report of the audit. This is the committee which provides independent assurance of the Council's exposure to risk and scrutiny of its performance to the extent that it affects that exposure. At our meeting on the 16th of July, the committee approved this report as an accurate record of its outcomes and work programme for the year 1st of April 2018 to the 31st of March 2018. During this period, the work of the committee has been focused on delivering improvement to the Council. Members will be aware of the financial fraud that was occurred in December 2017 and Grant Thornton's independent review of financial control that followed. During the year, the committee monitored the progress made against Grant Thornton's recommendations, all but 4 of which have now been implemented. All of this took up a significant amount of the internal audit team's time during the year, and it's important that we thank them for their work on this. We should also acknowledge the corporate fraud team for the speed at which they responded and the success of their criminal and financial investigation, which led to a custodial sentence for a responsible individual and the recovery of some £2 million. This report also summarises the committee's focus on improving the Council's overall control environment through quarterly assessment of progress made against internal audits and audit. The committee asks that leading officers attend its meetings to explain any deficiencies identified and how they intend to action them, and this has been an effective mechanism for driving improvement. Finally, you will note that the committee considered the external auditor's report on matters arising from their audit of the Council's account. By way of update, the external auditors BDO presented their report at the 16th of July meeting of the Audit Committee. At this meeting, they indicated that there were a few outstanding issues to resolve before the statutory deadline of the 31st of July, but confirmed that they anticipated issuing an unmodified audit opinion on the Council and an unqualified use of resources conclusion, all of which is welcome news. In conclusion, during the course of the past year, the Audit Committee has, I believe, added value to the Council's overall governance framework, and I therefore move the reception and adoption of its annual report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Alison Moore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I would like to thank the officers for the work they have done, not only in their day-to-day internal audit and corporate fraud work, and in the past year for the additional work that resulted from the fraud, but also for giving members of the committee the detailed reports, the considered opinions and the clear and honest answers that have enabled the committee to do its job. Audit doesn't always get the profile it deserves. A committee for those who thrive on detail and a service that comes into departments to challenge, but it's a critical function. And if there can be an upside to the fraud, it is that there's been a light shone on audit, and audit have been key players in assuring the improvement plan that responded after that fraud. As the report before you says, good corporate governance requires independent, effective assurance of financial management and reporting and the management of processes. And in an ideal world, it's an integral part of being an open and learning organisation committed to continual improvement. Without those checks and balances, without that focus on process, things can go wrong, and they did, big time. The fraud shone a spotlight on processes and practices in Capita and in Barnet, and the failure of the financial control environment. It made 32 recommendations. The Grant Thornton report made 32 recommendations, internal audit was tenacious in following those up. It is a frustration that it's taken the direct intervention of the Chief Executive to ensure that those and all services responded properly and promptly to internal audit recommendations. Repeated resetting of deadlines has become a bugbear for the committee. The reports of the committee now highlight those recommendations where the deadline for completion has slipped more than once, and minutes make it clear that we're taking that very seriously. We want Barnet to be an organisation that embraces challenge. But there are a whole range of services which are currently receiving limited, or in some cases, no assurance judgments. So we need to focus on that. I noted earlier that in a particularly challenging year, and one of the things that has been important is that internal audit has had to postpone some of the internal audits it would normally have done because of the Grant Thornton work. That's really problematic because they do it on a risk-based assessment. Therefore, I welcome the fact that there is more resource going into internal audit and CAF this year. It enables more follow-ups to be done and to do the internal audits they plan, as well as dealing with unplanned stuff. So hopefully we can move towards a council that, instead of getting limited assurance for a second year running, we'll move from good to do better, maybe to good. And that the administration has learned the lessons from the Capita blindness that dogged this underperformance in the face of chronic Capita underperformance and got us in the mess that we're in.
Thank you very much. We have no administrative speakers, so I can ask, please, Councillor Bishop.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This audit report details in excruciating detail the annus horribilis Barnet Council had last year, during which the council endured scandals, including a £2 million fraud and the subsequent report that exposed serious failures and shortcoming in the disastrous Capita contract, an appalling breakdown in the pensions administration system, and Ofsted finding the children's services to be inadequate. The council's internal audit team also had to admit that the amount of work that they put in to follow up on the Grant Thornton report meant that they were unable to perform as much work on in-house work as was planned. The theft of £2 million of public money exposed a complete breakdown of financial control exercised by Capita. It should have been a warning sign of how unworthy they are to handle public contracts. But instead of saying no deal to Capita, Barnet rewarded them by taking away all the services that they've messed up. The council doesn't seem to understand how badly things are going. Instead of punishing them for failure, they reward them. The pensions administration remains an ongoing issue, and it's still being flagged in the auditor's report to the pension fund. I sincerely hope that we have the data in order before the regulated deadline, else we face a hugely embarrassing £50,000 fine. However, the worst aspect of the annus horribilis was having children's services rated as inadequate by Ofsted. These services are thankfully now rated good, but we should never have been in a situation where councillors are told that it's a matter of luck that a child in Barnet's care hasn't died. Barnet Council reached rock bottom as a result of 7 years of mismanagement by the Conservatives, and this report lays bare that in black and white. And by the way, the Trumpian gagging of residents doesn't help make transparent decisions. The auditor said so. Think again about how you run this council.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before responding to those points, I would just refer to the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy's position statement on audit committees, which states that good audit committees are characterised by an independently minded chair who promotes apolitical, open discussion. I won't therefore respond to some of the political points that have been raised, but what I will do is refer to some of the discussions that have taken place at audit committee around these issues. As chair, I am committed to improving shortfalls in the control environment, but rather than apportioning blame, I'm more interested in outcomes. So let's look at some of the outcomes. The full amount of the fraudulent transactions which we paid to the council by week. The council responded immediately with a criminal investigation by the Corporate Anti-Fraud team, and stringent emergency financial controls were put in place in order to control the council's finances. The Grant Thornton report, as has been mentioned, included 32 actions to tighten financial controls for the council and we to take forward, all but 4 of which have been implemented. Strengthening internal controls will continue to be a key focus for the audit committee during the course of the next year.
Can I please have 2 votes? All those in favour? Thank you very much. 11.3. The next item is a referral from the Children's Education Safeguarding Committee to the full council. Update report on inspection of local authority children's social service care. Can I please call upon David Longstaff to move reception and adoption of item 11.3 on the agenda. Councillor Longstaff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. July the 7th, 2017, this council was found to be inadequate in all areas. And on July the 1st, 2019, we were found to be good in all areas. which is the fastest that any council has gone from inadequate to good. And part of that now is to embed the good and not to improve on that. But it's not as easy as some people have seemed to think on social media, that you just go to good and it's done effortlessly. This is down to the excellent staff that have joined the council in the last few years. The leadership was talked about by the rabbi earlier on today, and we have excellent leadership. Chris Mundy has shown the department's excellent leadership, and he realised when he joined before the 2017 inspection that we had some serious issues in the department. And one of Chris's many qualities is his ability to find critical staff who have the same effort, attitude and commitment to children's well-being that match his. And I commend the work of his divisional directors, Tina McElligott, Bridget Jordan, and the assistant directors, Colette McCarthy and Ben Thomas, and all those who work under them for the amount of hours, effort and commitment they have continuously shown throughout the period of being inadequate, in which they, apart from working tirelessly, looking for innovative ideas to improve the department, they've raised the morale of the department, improved the spirit, and come in with some excellent new ideas for recruiting social workers, developing our own social workers and training our own social workers in order to retain them. As I say, our social work team, MASH teams, the looked after children teams, have all continued to see a vast improvement in their decision making, and, as I say, the spirit within the service. The improvement board, which met once a month for the best part of 2 years, was chaired impeccably by the independent Dave Hill, with unwavering executive support from John Hooton, and tremendous political support from Richard Cornelius, and my predecessor, Councillor Ruben Tomstone. But moving forward, we will implement the recommendations from Ofsted to our action plan. There are 4 areas which we must improve on. That will help us. We need to embed what we've done, and we will continue with our improvement board to continue looking at how we can improve the service, develop the service, try and find innovative new ways to build strength into the service. People talk about reaching outstanding, but that can only be done by demonstrating over a number of years good practice allied with this innovative and good quality outcomes for all our children. And with that, I commend this report to the council and thank all the staff in children's services for all the effort, attitude and commitment that they have put in over the last 2 years to right the wrongs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ask Pauline Coakley-Webb, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, a huge well done and huge congratulations to all the staff who work in children and young people's services. It's been a great relief to see that the massive amount of hard work and dedication by the staff has resulted in the Ofsted report now rating our services as good. To say that this has been a trying few years is an understatement, not just because new ways of working have had to be embedded and supported, but there was always a fear that the service being rated inadequate was putting some of the most vulnerable of our young people at risk. It wasn't even a surprise to get the inadequate Ofsted rating, as the department was already aware of the many shortfalls in the service. And it's here we have to recognise and admit that this crisis was not brought about by the dedicated staff and social workers, but by the administration which took its eye off the ball. The focus was on the reorganisation of the library service, as you remember. The impact of government-imposed austerity measures meant that decisions were taken within children's services to cut middle management posts. Morale plummeted and areas were allowed to drift. Questions on this side were not succinctly and on time reported back to what was then the SELS Committee. I wish I could say that it would be an easy next step to aim for an outstanding rating, but this will not happen unless further additional funding supports this aim. Which brings me to the continued impact of further austerity cuts imposed by the Conservative government. Our own Policy and Resources Committee has rewarded children's services by cutting around an additional £1 million from their agency spend and about £500,000 from their legal budget. Yes, we're in the process of growing our own social workers, but this takes time, and it is to the credit of the department and the quality of the staff that they see fit to recruit, that should applicants not be up to our required standards, then high-quality agency staff is the only option. And with all young people needing access to education, we cannot dismiss the situation faced by our schools, nurseries and early years. The number of schools in deficit has been increasing. Staff are being made redundant. The future arrangement for funding high needs places is still uncertain. Education time during school days is in some instances being curtailed, all in the name of austerity. From this side, we sincerely wish every success and continued improvement for our children and young people's services. But we will be keeping an extremely watchful eye on any attempt to undermine the resources required to make this happen. Thank you, Madam President.
We have no administration speakers, so can I ask Councillor Hutton to speak? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've lost my speech. I'm sure that will be music to some ears. It's in my iPad when I left home, but it wasn't there when we got here. I apologise that that can't find it. Anyway, I just wanted to make a few points. The medium-term financial strategy in November 2014 took 1.5 million from the budget for children's services. With the government in austerity mode and Capita on board to commission services as cheaply as possible, never mind the quality so long as it's cheap, how did the administration think that this would not affect services? The mantra always seems to be that cuts would not affect frontline services, but they have to fall somewhere. And the somewhat hidden cuts to expertise and experience at management level, as well as cuts to the training budget, inevitably took its toll. The officers in children's services have managed to move the service from requires improvement to good in just 2 years is no small achievement, and they should be congratulated for this. I only hope that current funds available will be sustainable for the long term, so that we can continue to have a service fit for the children of this borough.
Thank you very much. Councillor David Longstaff, right to respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's not really a lot to add, other than, Labour's championing of the Venezuelan economy is going to completely trash just about every service in this country. So I wouldn't suggest that the Conservative policy of trying to balance the budget is such a bad one. Yes, mistakes get made, but the aim is always to try and keep everything level. Secondly, standards have improved, the spirit of the team has improved, the work of the council, the decision making has improved. After 3 days of the inspection in 2017, 32 children were put down as being possibly at risk. This year, after 3 days, no children were put down as being at risk. Chris Mundy and his team have done a fantastic effort, and that should not be overlooked. Most of the staff have come in, are new staff, dedicated and motivated. And lastly, if it's so easy to keep things going and keep things working well, could I ask Labour Party what went wrong with the election of their leader? Thank you.
Can we please move to the vote? All those in favour?
You lost the election.
Agreed.
What went wrong with the election you
11.4. The next item is a referral from the Children's Education Safeguarding Committee of the Full Council. The delegation of functions to the London Borough of Islington and Regional Adoption Agency. Can I please call upon David Longstaff, and I need to move the reception and adoption of item 11.4 on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In June 2015, the Department for Education published a paper called Regionalising Adoption, setting out proposals for the establishment of regional adoption agencies. The paper confirmed the government commitment to all local authorities being part of a regional adoption agency and provide details of start-up funding for those authorities and making early progress. The report that you've got details a business case that went to the Children Education Safeguarding Committee on the 19th of March 2019, where Barnet is joining with Camden, Enfield, Hackney, Haringey and Islington to form the Adopt London North Regional Agency. Councillors were asked to consider the business case and approve, which they did unanimously on the SES committee. Article 4 of the Constitution says that this Delegation of functions to another authority requires a decision of full council, and I ask members of the council to approve the recommendations as set out on page 100. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Claire Farron.
Thank you. I have no problem with agreeing to delegating responsibilities for adoption to Adoption North London for all the reasons that are given in this paper and in the associated business case. However, I would like to make a few comments related to our responsibilities to children in need as corporate parents. I'm one of the 4 councillors currently appointed by this council to our adoption and fostering panel. And I should mention that the Mayor was previously a long-term serving member of the adoption panel. During that time, I've been continuously very impressed by the work of our social workers in assessing prospective adoptive parents and in finding adoptive families to meet the individual needs of children who require a permanent adoptive placement. I'm surprised that Councillor Longstaff didn't mention our staff, and I did previously about the report, but this is all about our staff, what an excellent job they do in providing service for our children in need. Social worker skills include gaining the trust of potential adopters so that they're able to disclose and discuss their personal and often previously private experiences that may add to or impact on their abilities to adopt a child who has also suffered trauma in their short life. One of the reasons for creating regional adoption agencies is the perceived difficulty in placing some children with specific needs and larger sibling groups. And I believe our Barnet social workers have a lot to offer within both of these. In the past year, I've been part of panels where sibling groups of 3 and 4 have been matched with adoptive families and babies and children with specific individual needs. I think the Mayor may have also heard of families like this as well, she served on the panel. Often, the family finding process is not local. It's not possible to find a Barnet family with a Barnet child. It's not even regional. At one panel, a child was matched with a family in Scotland. But, with all this expertise, we, as a council, owe a duty of care and support to our excellent staff. There are risks in any reorganisation, and we are asking staff to move from Barnet, remember that they've just moved to Colindale, but we're asking them again to move to a different team, to a different, if you like, authority or sub-authority. And this paper does not give details of the relocation of the social workers, apart from the hope. The hope that there'll be no redundancies. We do more than hope. The Labour Group requires firm assurance that staff will be consulted, listened to, supported and cared for during this reorganisation. Thank you very much.
Councillor David Longstaff, the right reply. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Something I should have alluded to earlier, the central theme, the aim of the children's service, the adoption service, the looked after children's service, the fostering service, etc., has been to put the child at the heart of absolutely everything. Everything starts with the name of the child and what the child wants. The aim has been throughout this whole process to make sure that the needs, the desires, the aims, the aspirations of the child are addressed and met. It is not about, staff are incredibly important, but all you talked about, Councillor Farrier, seems to be about the staff and how the staff felt and what the staff did. This is all about making better outcomes for our children. This is all about making better outcomes for their life chances, and we know how hard their staff have worked over the last 3 years. So I think that is something to be remembered. I just ask all council to agree this report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Migration and Growth Committee to full council. Upper and lower fosters. Agenda item 17 is an associated exempt appendix to this report. The exempt information is taken as read, so we can vote on the public and exempt information following the debate on this item. Can I please call upon Councillor Richard Cornelius to move reception and adoption of this item 11.5 on the agenda? Councillor Richard Cornelius.
Madam Mayor, this is quite a surprising matter to come before full council. It would normally be handled at a committee meeting where one would go into it in great detail. This scheme is vitally important to the residents and the aspiring residents that we look after in this borough. And the reason it's come to full council is to avoid the delay over the summer and getting the work underway. There has been broad cross-party support in committee for this scheme. Residents have been consulted and the ward councillors have all been in favour of it. I would commend the way that officers have driven this forward. It has been a great success. There has been very limited opposition, which is quite unusual in schemes of this nature, and it is a tribute to the staff that this has gone as well as it has. So I won't speak unnecessarily long and delay your return to the teacups, but it is something that it is very important to me and to this side of the council that we move ahead with, and I hope we will be joined by the full council in getting this done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jeffrey.
Madam Mayor, the Labour Group does indeed support the further development of this scheme. It's not a final decision, so we reserve our view obviously on that. But in particular, we welcome the extra care element of Cheshire House, which will be included. This is following the successful implementation of a similar scheme in Mill Hill and planned one in Burnt Oak. This one is in Hendon, so there are 3 on the west of the borough. If there is sufficient demand for another scheme, it would be good if it was balanced with location on the eastern side of the borough. We also welcome the development of available land to provide housing. We are in favour of as much genuinely affordable housing as can be provided, and we certainly agree with Councillor Cornelius about the approach that has been taken by collaborating with existing local residents in the design. If only the same approach had been used at the
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Richard Cornelius, would you like to write?
I don't need to.
Therefore, I will go to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. I shall move on to item number 12, reports of the officers. 12.1, head of governors.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appendix A details vacancies for outside bodies that have arisen. Appendix B details changes to the calendar of meetings. And Appendix C details changes to membership of committees.
Is that noted?
Group secretaries have put forward nominations for vacancies on the Arts Depot Trust Limited, London Youth Games Board of Trustees, Hampstead Heath Management Committee and the Nickel and Daniel Holmes Charity. Council requested to note that the London Youth Games Board of Trustees have been in contact to advise that Barnet representatives are no longer required. The nominations set out in the agenda and supplemental packs are therefore withdrawn. Council requested to vote on the remaining nominations which are set out in the papers.
Thank you very much. All those in favour of the Conservative nominations, please show.
Can I just check on the point of constitution? Are the group secretaries not supposed to move them before we vote on them?
They're set out in the papers, but if the group secretaries wish to move the nominations and their names, then they can.
Well, it's normally the Conservative group who go first. I move the Labour group nominations in line.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the Conservative group nomination of me.
Thank you very much indeed.
Just need to take a vote on those nominations.
Okay, so therefore, all those in favour of the Conservative nominations?
37.
All those in favour of the Labour nominations?
23.
Thank you very much. Conservative nominations are therefore elected. The head of government. That's all fine. Thank you very much. We'll move on to number 13, which is questions to representatives on outside bodies. There are none. Therefore, it is just past, it's about 11:26. I would like to have a break for 15 minutes. If you could all come back then, please. Thank you very much.